Good morning. This is Thursday morning. I'm glad to be with you today. I hope today is a wonderful day for you, and perhaps the Lord will just do something special. When I got up this morning, of course, it was very early. This morning wasn't real good daylight just yet, but as the day progressed, I saw more and more how clear and beautiful a morning it really was. So I'm glad to be with you today on this beautiful Thursday morning. One interesting thing, well, may not be too interesting, but it is to me. On every Thursday, our dumpster here at the church is emptied, and sometimes I forget, what's going on and so forth. But as I come in often in the mornings now, I see the dumpster service that has come to empty our dumpster driving by me, and I see the name on the side of it, and I say, "Hey, it's Thursday." Well, sometimes we have that happen to us. Just a moment ago, you saw a little glitch come up. Somehow something happened, and I had to say, "Yes, let it keep going." And so we had a little break right there, but everything's good now on this beautiful Thursday morning, and I'm glad to have you with us. We've been talking about words and things people say, and today we're going to be talking about something I think very important for all of us, and that is I'm using a comparison: helpful or hurtful. We have the opportunity with the words of our mouth to encourage people or to discourage people. You can give constructive criticism and somebody be helped, or you can be destructive in your criticism and that person will never attempt again what they had attempted before. So I encourage all of us, let's be a little bit more attentive and allow the Lord to use us in our words. We're going to find something interesting out of Job 34, an interesting statement. And I want you to stay with us as we get through that. you know, I heard something that said in a senior citizen center, they had some exercise programs for the senior citizens. And this one person who was a helper, a trainer for them, and helping them to have, know what exercises to do, came up with this program for senior citizens. And it said this: start by standing outside, maybe even in the backyard behind your house or apartment or whatever, with a 5 pound potato sack in each hand. Extend your arms straight out to the sides and hold them there as long as you can. After about a week of that, then you can move up to a 10 pound potato sack. And again, hold it out as long as you can. Maybe the next week, you can move up to a 50 pound potato sack. And again, hold it out just as long as you can. When you have mastered each one of these, the 5 pound potato sack, and then the 10 pound potato sack, and then up to the 50 pound potato sack, then once you have mastered that and you can hold your arms out there straight for at least a full minute with that sack in your hand, then begin to add one or two potatoes to the sack. I thought about that when I read that. I said, now that's my kind of exercise program right there. I don't think that sack weighs very much, but those potatoes would add the weight, wouldn't it? Our devotion today is found in Job chapter 34. Job chapter 34. We're going to read the first 4 verses and then make an application with these verses, but this is what it says. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, now Elihu was one of Job's friends that weren't really such great friends after all, and their wisdom turned out not to be the best wisdom. But I want you to notice something he said, because what Elihu says is true. And he said this, hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me, ye that have knowledge. For the ear trieth words, as the mouth tasteth meat. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. Now, notice what he said. He said, I want you to know that just like you test food in your mouth, you taste it. You know whether it's good or not in your mouth. So does the ear with things that are said. It tries the words. Did that sound right to me? Have you ever heard somebody say something and just in your own mind you said, that doesn't sound right. That just doesn't sound, that doesn't jive, as they used to say. I don't know about that. One of the common experiences of every leader is the always joyful anonymous note. Someone will write a note but not want to be identified with what they wrote, so they refuse to sign their name to what they have written. The famous preacher, Henry Ward Beecher, stepped to the pulpit on a Sunday morning to find a folded note waiting for him. On the outside of the fold, it said, Pastor. So he opened up the note when he got up there and went to his chair with the note, and he sat down. He opened the note and found only one word written on the paper. In big, bold letters, he saw the word fool, Fool. Well, he stepped to the pulpit and he said, I have had many letters written to me, and someone would not sign the letter. They have been anonymous or they just forgot to sign the note. He said, but this is the first time I've ever had someone sign the note but forget to write the note. Well, naturally, the crowd enjoyed his humor, but it was also a statement concerning those that write such harmful things to any person. Every person needs encouragement from time to time. The words that we speak should be helpful words, not hurtful words. John Flavel, the famous preacher and writer of the 1600s, in fact, John Flavel was my dad's favorite writer that he ever read after, commentator and so forth. And John Flavel said this, there is a spiritual taste by which those that have their senses exercised can distinguish things that differ. The spiritual man judgeth all things, according to 1 Corinthians 2:15. His ear tries the words as his mouth tastes meats, according to Job 34:3. When something is tried by the mouth, if it does not taste good, we don't eat it. By the same token, we should also try the words that we are saying by the spiritual ear. When we hear words that are hurtful or harmful, our spirit will be touched by the Holy Spirit to discern the quality of those words. It is best to be careful with our words and to be helpful. Not only are we to use spiritual judgment when hearing words, but we should also use spiritual judgment when we speak. Hurting words cannot ever be taken back. A pastor was teaching on Proverbs 16:24, where the Bible says, pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the taste, or sweet to the soul, and health to the bones. Well, he was talking about that, and he added a statement, and he said this, you know, as the old adage says, you can catch more with sugar or with honey than with vinegar. Well, upon hearing this, a woman sitting in the crowd nodded her a little bit like that, and she leaned over to her husband, and in a very quiet tone, she whispered in his ear, I just love to watch your muscles ripple when you take out the garbage. Well, I don't know if that encouraged him to take out the garbage more or not, but I thought it was an interesting application of the pastor's thought. It couldn't hurt, I'll say that. You know, there's a wonderful book entitled Boundaries in which the authors differentiate two words, hurt and harm. Think of these examples that were given in the book. The author said, if I were to eat an entire 2-pound bag of peanut M&Ms, and then the author put in parentheses, which I sadly am fully capable of doing, said this, would it hurt me? No, it would taste really great. Would it harm me? Yes, it would harm my health, would not be good for my teeth, and probably in other things as well. How about visiting the dentist? Could it possibly hurt to go to the dentist? Perhaps. But would it harm me to go to the dentist? Probably not, because it will keep me from something else that would harm me. A good parent will allow their child to be hurt in order to keep them from harm. That's why the Bible talks about discipline. Discipline was never intended to feel good. It was intended to hurt, to keep from future harm. Somebody gave this illustration. They said, would it be cruel of me to pull my daughter's hair to save her life as she was about to step into the path of an oncoming vehicle? It would hurt, but it would save her from harm. A benevolent parent would never harm their child. In other words, deliberately do something that would cause them harm or danger to them. But to avoid that harm, sometime we must allow our children to experience some hurt. Sometimes even good advice hurts when it is first heard, but it will bring healing if it will be followed. We live in a society that has the idea only what pleases us is what we need. No, what we need is what will help us. When we say words, we need to let them be things that would be for the help and not the hurt of others. When we hear words, seek to hear the good and not the bad. Some years ago, a great preacher that I loved dearly had a statement. He said, we need to treat um, compliments and criticism the same way. He said, let it all just roll off your back. He said, when you hear a compliment, he said, be careful. Because if you get so caught up on the compliments giving you, you'll begin to think more highly of yourself than you ought to. And by the same token, if you take every criticism to heart, it will destroy you. But he said, when you hear something negative, he said, think about it. Is there any truth to what was said? If it is, then seek to correct it. If it isn't, then go on down the road. But I want you to notice the statement that was given to us in Job 34. Listen to this. Let us choose to us judgment. In other words, let's have wisdom. Let's have discernment. And then he put this, let us know among ourselves what is good. In other words, I want to listen to what I'm going to say with the spiritual ear that will allow the Lord to say to me, that's hurtful. And I want to be helpful. Sometimes people have a hard time saying things to help without saying things to hurt. Because oftentimes in our thought process, we don't realize the hurt that can be caused by our words. We need to be those who are encouraging, like that dear lady who said to her husband, I just love to see your muscles ripple when you take out the garbage. That's a whole lot better than a criticism. Words do not sound sweet all the time. And I would say this, if words do not sound sweet in our own ear, then they probably should not be said at all. Let's discern the good. Let's seek to be helpful, and let's seek not to harm a beloved brother or friend or fellow Christian or anyone. Ask God to help us today that our words would be pleasing in His sight, helpful to others. God bless you for listening today. Hope you'll join with us tomorrow right here at 8:30. God bless you today is my prayer.